what does it mean, an interactive documentary?
There's many different interpretations. Sometimes interactivity can be with the screen, in the sense that you have your own reading of the screen. But more commonly, interactivity is when the audience member has an impact in the way that the story unfolds or shapes or continues. There's some kind of interaction in order to change the way the story is unfolding.
How does the modern technology change the conceptions of ethics in creating documentaries? For example, people more often spread personal information about them on social media, so how does it change?
I think there's two sides to the answer to that question. One is that misinformation and disinformation has always been around. Our relationship to truth is very complicated, and our relationship to information systems is complicated. As soon as paper was invented, people were, making fake texts, saying that it was from the government or from the church. So this has always been a question with media. The difference now with AI, with artificial intelligence, and with the speed and scope of the internet, it's just at a whole other level. So there's a great book that's just come out called Nexus by Yuval Harari, and he says that one of the biggest assumptions in our world about media is that the more information we have, the closer we'll come to truth. And it's just not true. Information doesn't equal truth.
Are the protagonists, for example, more open to share personal information about them because they are okay with that? For example, they share personal information normally on social media, so they are more open? Or is it true? Or
I don't know. We're definitely in a time where people are more used to taking selfies and pictures of themselves and uploading on YouTube and TikTok. So yeah, we're definitely a camera-conscious society. It's generational, for sure. Different generations have different relationship to the technologies that makes it very hard for people to even understand each other.
And does technology also influences the way how to select or how to pick the topics for new documentaries?
I think documentarians have a responsibility to engage with the world that we live in. That's one of the points of accountability. And so technology is in this world. So I think you need to somehow grapple with it. Even if you're not using it in the ways that some more creative, new technology makers might use, you need to understand that the technology is in the world that you're engaging in. And that the subjects and the topics you're covering are also entangled with technology.
Okay. And does technological progress also bring more responsibility for authors? When they, for example, work with some sensitive or personal informations or with some vulnerable group of respondents or population?
We have personal responsibility, but as I mentioned in the talk, we also have a collective responsibility. We need to understand what are the larger systems at play and how do we regulate and how do we hold the systems accountable? And that's what's so missing in people's understanding of the technologies, is these are large systems, much bigger than you or me. And so we need systems in place. We can't just deregulate everything and think that we're going to be okay, because we're not going to be okay.
And you talked a lot about the AI, so how to use AI on documentaries, or what's your point of view on using AI in documentaries?
AI, as I said before, documentarians need to live in the world that we're in, and we need to engage with it. And artificial intelligence is part of that entanglement. And so we have a responsibility to understand how artificial intelligence is impacting society, politics, economy, community, creativity, labor. And so we need to understand it as a part of the world we're documenting, but there's also tools coming into play what a lot of documentarians are using, whether they even know it or not. Are you using a transcription system? Instead of, we used to have humans transcribing. That's not happening anymore. You just use an artificial intelligence. Translation, there's so many assistive technologies. And we just need to call it what it is. It's like, it's not I am AI, I am working with AI, or I am not. We're all in it, and we need to be articulate about it.
To what extent is it okay to shape reality, for example, or simplify story for some narrative purpose? For example, because of the footage, you really often don't have enough time for all the context.
I think it's about transparency. We're manipulating images no matter what. We decide what the frame is, we decide what the in is, what the out is, what we include, what we don't. Those are all editorial questions that a documentarian is confronting all the time. I think there's a contract with the audience and with the people that we're making the film with that requires interrogation. It requires a transparency. I did this way. And some artists don't like that because it's like, then it loses the magic of what we're doing. But I think in the time that we live in, we need to think very creatively about transparency.
How to convince the audience to be interested in, for example, some unpopular or neglected topics?
That's a great question. How do you connect with audiences for anything? And I think that is a big part of co-creation is also, and I didn't really talk about it in the talk, but co-creating with your audiences, listening to people and trying to meet them where they are. So you have to know your audiences in order to, you can't shove things down their throats, right? Like you have to be able to relate to people in a respectful way. And that's part of connecting the dots for folks.